I got to start with this before I get into the articles. I am kicking this off right now. And, like I've said about myself, I rarely talk about myself on the program. But I am not someone that wants to be in any kind of standoff with my colleagues in this business. So you rarely hear me sort of try to bark louder than other people who do what I do, because I'm very happy to be in this lineup. But I want to kick something off that I want to spread throughout the conservative media starting today. I know that we are not near the next presidential election, but I want to pick the ticket if we were. If the election were coming up in November, it wasn't a midterm, it was a presidential election, I have my ticket. Now, I want you to remember something. If you've been listening to this program for any length of time, does anybody remember that I was the first person on the air nationally saying Sarah Palin should be on the ticket? I was speaking of Sarah Palin in, what was it? The primary field was barely even coalesced. And once I read the story of Sarah Palin read the story that she was trying to sell the governor's jet on eBay, I said, this is the woman we need. Well, here's my ticket. And I want this to cast a reverberation and a wave throughout conservative media. If I can have it right now, today, Christie, Brewer. I want Chris Christie and Jan Brewer to be the ticket. Right now. I am throwing that one out there today. Chris Christie, Jan Brewer. That's my ticket right now. Think about how wonderful that is. You would flip New Jersey red because voters will almost always support their governor for president. You've got a Northeasterner and a Southwesterner. You've got another woman on the ticket. You've got the wrecking ball who is literally bashing apart the budget of the state of New Jersey and giving the taxpayers what they've been deserving for quite some time, a break and some breathing room. You've got a real fiscal conservative in New Jersey. And then you've got Jan Brewer. You've got the woman who's willing to stand up and say, enough's enough with illegal immigration. Now, I want you to think about this. Why these two are so wonderful. When you look at Howard Dean, Vermont has got to be one of the whitest states in the Union. Howard Dean never had to deal with diversity issues because there was really nobody there. And that's the reality for Vermont. If you look at governors in right-to-work states with low taxes, they've never had to fight the entrenched tick unions, especially the public sector unions. They've never had to fight for low taxes. Lower taxes were just always there. And if they're a right-to-work state, they've never had to deal with the unions. Not the way someone like Chris Christie is having to deal with them. And past Republican governors in New Jersey just sort of went to Trenton to do a slightly less crappy job than the Democrats. This is a man who is taking on the unions, the Democrats, the high spending, and the high taxes head on. And he's not afraid. He said to a union teacher the other day, and we have the audio, if you don't like the way I govern, you can get another job. Bam! Who in politics has that kind of guts? Think about what's happening in this country right now. People who don't have the approval of the Republican Party are winning Republican primaries. You have Rand Paul in Kentucky. And you have, who's this guy in Idaho that upset the Republicans there? What's his name? Raul Labrador. Raul Labrador upset the GOP establishment pick in Idaho. People don't want mainstream Republicans who go to the state capitol or Washington to do a slightly less crappy job. They want people who have the intestinal fortitude and the spine to stand up to whoever it is that is forcing up the debt, up the deficit, up the taxes. They don't know, and they don't want people who go along to get along. The problem facing the Republican Party and the conservative movement for far too long, you want to know why conservatives in media, in talk radio, are so successful? Because when you look at the media culture, the industry culture, the deep desire of people who enter the business is to be liked by other people in the business, to be on the radar of people with big careers in the business. Anybody working at CBS wants to be cast in a good light with regard to Katie Couric. People over at NBC want to be liked by Olbermann or Maddow. Conservatives in media don't care to be liked. And that is something that runs true through all of the successful conservatives in talk radio. Because here's what happens. You enter the media business in some form or fashion, whether it be in print journalism, in my case, and in Glenn Beck's case, music-driven radio. You can enter this. There is no academic route into opinion-based media. You just sort of find your way in. But when you enter the media industry as a conservative, you find out very quickly that you're not liked. And you've got two choices. You can either do what it takes to be liked and go along and get along and not really be yourself, or you can look yourself in the mirror and stop apologizing for yourself. I stopped apologizing for myself years ago. The fact that people in the industry or my coworkers here at Sirius and XM despise me means absolutely nothing. And I want to tell you something on the side. I'm getting to something with Christie and Brewer here because they're up against pretty big forces. When you hear me talk about being despised here at Sirius and XM, I got to be honest with you, it would probably be easier for me if that was just shtick, some part of my quote-unquote persona to act like I'm the rebel outsider conservative here in Rockefeller Plaza. For the reality of it, it's true. Now, I'm not going to try to make you think that everybody that works here hates me. I mean, that would not be true. There are a lot of people that like me. There's a lot of people here that I like. But there's a substantial portion of people that work here who make no bones about how much they despise me. And I will tell you honestly that when you're hated that much doing what I do, you know you're doing something right. If these people hate you, I mean despise you openly, you know you're doing something right, and it feeds me. It fuels me. I will tell you this, the hatred that I get from liberals that work here at Sirius and XM keeps me warm at night. It makes me feel good. It's like nutrition. It's like nutrients for me. I absorb it. It's like vitamin D from the sun. What are you, some kind of reptile? Maybe I am. But I enjoy it. The angrier that people are to me, the more coarse they are to me in the coffee room, in the hallway, the way people look down and away and are very short and curt with me, I eat that up. And I eat it up even more when I hear lower quality hosts using me as the poster boy of evil. I love it. Now, you're saying, what does that have to do with Chris Christie and Jan Brewer? Look at what Jan Brewer is standing up to in Arizona. She is standing up to Casa, Micha, Maldef, La Raza, the entire Democratic Party, the President of the United States, the Department of Justice, celebrity activists, race baiters, street hustlers, and poverty pimps.